There are moments in life that divide your existence into before and after. Moments so sharp and unexpected that they slice through everything you thought you knew about the people you love. For me, that moment came on a rainy October afternoon when I heard my son Michael say 5 words that changed everything. "She'll be gone soon anyway." He was talking about me. I'm Dorothy Ann Sullivan, 78 years old, and until that moment, I thought I knew my son. I thought I understood my place in his life, in his home, in his heart. I was wrong about all of it. Let me paint you a picture of that day. I was standing in the upstairs hallway of Michael and Vanessa's house, the house where I'd been living for 8 months, the house where I'd moved after my fall, the house where I was supposed to feel safe and cared for. I'd been coming back from the bathroom when I heard voices drifting up from the kitchen below. The heating vent in the hallway floor carried sound perfectly, though most people didn't realize it. I'd discovered this accidentally weeks earlier. Michael's voice was frustrated, tight with tension. "Vanessa, we've been over this. The cruise is already booked. 3 weeks in the Mediterranean. We deserve this. But what about your mother?" Vanessa's voice was sharp, irritated. "We can't just leave her alone for 3 weeks. What if something happens?" "Nothing's going to happen. She's more capable than she lets on. Besides, we can have someone check on her. A neighbor or something. Michael, she's 78 years old. She can barely manage the stairs. Last week she forgot she had something on the stove. We came home to a smoke-filled kitchen." There was a pause. Then Michael said those words, casual and cold as winter rain. "Look, she'll be gone soon anyway. The doctors gave her what, maybe a year? 2 if she's lucky. I'm not putting my life on hold because my mother decided to get sick. We're taking this trip." I stood there, one hand gripping the banister, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might burst through my ribs. The doctors gave her maybe a year. She'll be gone soon anyway. My own son. My firstborn. The baby I'd nursed through pneumonia when he was 6. The boy whose hand I'd held through his father's funeral. The man I'd moved in with because he'd insisted, because he'd looked at me with such concern and said, "Mom, you can't live alone anymore. You need a family. You need us." And he was counting down the days until I died. Before I tell you what I did next, before I tell you how I transformed from a sick old woman into someone my son never saw coming, I need you to do something for me. Subscribe to Family Tales right now. Click that button, because stories like mine, stories about the strength it takes to face brutal truths and fight back, these stories need to be told. We need to hear them. So subscribe, and then settle in, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you think about family, loyalty, and survival. Now let me take you back to the beginning, because you need to understand how I ended up in that hallway, eavesdropping on my own death sentence. My name is Dorothy Sullivan, but everyone has always called me Dot. I was born in 1947 in a small mining town in Pennsylvania, the second of 6 children. My father worked underground for 30 years before black lung took him when I was just 17. My mother raised us on grit and prayer, making every penny stretch, teaching us that family was everything and loyalty was sacred. I carried those lessons with me when I married Robert Sullivan in 1967. I was 20 years old, fresh out of secretarial school, and Robert was 23, a Vietnam veteran trying to build a normal life after 2 tours that left scars he never talked about. We married in a small church ceremony, honeymooned at Niagara Falls, and settled in upstate New York where Robert got a job at the General Electric plant. Our life wasn't glamorous, but it was good. Robert worked hard, moved up from assembly line to supervisor to plant manager over 25 years. I worked part-time as a medical secretary while raising our 3 children, Michael, born in 1969, Christine, born in 1972, and Jonathan, born in 1976. Michael was my firstborn, my golden child. He came into the world screaming with outrage, as if offended by the very fact of birth, and he maintained that intensity throughout his childhood. He was smart, driven, and competitive. He wanted to be the best at everything, best grades, best athlete, most popular. And mostly, he succeeded. I won't lie and say Michael was an easy child. He had a temper, a streak of selfishness that worried me sometimes. When he was 8, he broke his brother Jonathan's favorite toy truck in a fit of anger and showed no remorse. When he was 12, he got caught cheating on a test and blamed it on the girl sitting next to him. But Robert would always defend him. He's ambitious. He wants to win. That's not a bad thing in this world. But at what cost? I'd ask. What about integrity? What about kindness? He'll grow out of the rough edges. You'll see. I wanted to believe that. I chose to believe that. Christine, my daughter, was different. Gentle, artistic, sensitive. She painted beautiful watercolors and wrote poetry and saw the world through rose-colored glasses. She was easy to love, easy to raise, though perhaps too trusting, too willing to believe the best in people. Jonathan, my baby, was the peacemaker. Caught between Michael's intensity and Christine's sensitivity, he learned early how to smooth things over, how to make everyone laugh, how to diffuse tension. He became a social worker, dedicating his life to helping troubled kids. That tells you everything you need to know about his character. The years passed the way years do, too fast in retrospect, though each day felt ordinary at the time. The kids grew up, went to college, and started their own lives. Michael went to business school, got his MBA, landed a high-paying job in pharmaceutical sales. He married Vanessa, a beautiful woman from a wealthy Connecticut family, when he was 30. They had 2 children, Tyler and Madison, now teenagers who barely knew their grandmother. Christine married a kind man named Paul, a teacher, and they had 1 daughter, Lily, who was the light of my life. They lived modestly but happily in Vermont, running a small bed and breakfast. Jonathan never married, dedicated to his work with at-risk youth, living in a small apartment in Philadelphia. Robert and I retired to a small house in the Adirondacks, living simply on his pension and our savings. We had 47 good years together before the stroke took him in 2014. One moment he was reading the newspaper at breakfast, the next he was gone. Just like that. The love of my life, my partner, my best friend, gone. I thought I might die from the grief. Some mornings I wished I would. But I survived. I had my children, my grandchildren, my garden, my church community. I volunteered at the local library, took watercolor classes with other widows, learned to live alone in the house Robert and I had shared. The years after Robert's death were quiet but not unhappy. I was independent, capable, healthy for my age. I drove myself to appointments, maintained my house, managed my finances. My children visited occasionally, Michael and Vanessa at Christmas, Christine and her family every few months, Jonathan when he could get away from work. Then came the fall. It happened last February, 14 months ago. I was carrying laundry down the basement stairs when I missed a step. I tumbled down the entire flight, landing in a heap at the bottom. My neighbor found me 6 hours later when she came to check why I hadn't answered the phone. I'd broken my hip, fractured my wrist, and hit my head hard enough to cause a concussion. The hospital stay was 2 weeks. Surgery to repair the hip, physical therapy to learn to walk again, medications for pain and inflammation. I was 77 years old, and suddenly I felt every single year. Michael flew in from Connecticut, his face creased with worry. "Mom, you can't live alone anymore. This proves it. What if Mrs. Henderson hadn't found you? You could have died there." But I didn't die. I'm fine. I just need to be more careful. Mom, be realistic. You're not getting any younger. Living alone in that big house, all those stairs, it's not safe. You need to be somewhere you can be looked after. I'm not going to a nursing home, Michael. I'm not talking about a nursing home. I'm talking about coming to live with me and Vanessa. We have that extra bedroom on the first floor. It's perfect. You'd have family around, people to help you, no stairs to worry about. Christine had flown in too, and she supported Michael's suggestion. "Mom, it really might be for the best. Just until you're fully recovered. Then we can reassess." I didn't want to leave my house. But the truth was, I was scared. The fall had shaken me more than I wanted to admit. What if it happened again? What if next time I wasn't so lucky? So I agreed. Just temporarily, I told myself. Just until I got my strength back. That was 8 months ago. Michael and Vanessa's house was beautiful, a sprawling colonial in an upscale Connecticut suburb, all gleaming hardwood and granite countertops and professionally decorated rooms. The guest bedroom they'd prepared for me was on the first floor, next to a bathroom they'd modified with grab bars and a shower seat. The first few weeks were pleasant enough. Vanessa made healthy meals, drove me to physical therapy appointments, and helped me with my exercises. Michael checked on me every evening after work, asking about my day, making sure I had everything I needed. But gradually, things changed. Vanessa became less patient. The cheerful questions about my day turned into perfunctory nods. The healthy meals became pre-packaged dinners left in the fridge with reheating instructions. When I needed help with something, I could see the flash of irritation in her eyes before she pasted on a smile. Michael spent more time at work, coming home later and later. When he was home, he was often on his phone or laptop, distracted and distant. The evening check-ins became sporadic. Tyler and Madison, the teenagers, treated me like furniture. They'd walk past me in the living room without acknowledgement, earbuds in, eyes on their phones. When I tried to engage them in conversation, I got monosyllabic responses. I felt like a burden. An inconvenience. An obligation to be endured rather than a beloved family member to be cherished. I told myself I was being too sensitive. They were busy people with busy lives. I was disrupting their routine. Once I recovered fully, I'd return to my own house and everything would go back to normal. But I wasn't recovering the way I'd hoped. The hip healed, yes, but I was left with chronic pain and limited mobility. I could walk, but slowly, carefully, with a cane. Stairs were difficult. The wrist healed but remained weak and prone to aching. And then came the diagnosis. In July, I started feeling unusually tired. Not just the tiredness of aging, but a bone-deep exhaustion that made even simple tasks feel overwhelming. I was losing weight without trying. I had night sweats that left my sheets soaked. Michael took me to see a doctor, his own internist, a brisk man named Dr. Harrison who spent more time looking at his computer screen than at me. After an examination and blood work, Dr. Harrison referred me to an oncologist. The word oncologist hung in the air like a death sentence before any diagnosis was even made. Dr. Patricia Chin was gentler than Dr. Harrison, but the news she delivered was devastating. After more tests, a biopsy, imaging scans, more blood work, she sat me down in her office with Michael beside me and explained that I had chronic lymphocytic leukemia. CLL is a type of cancer that affects your blood and bone marrow, she said, her voice kind but professional. It's more common in older adults. The good news is that it's typically a slow-growing cancer. Many patients live for years with treatment. What's the bad news? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. Your case appears to be more advanced than we typically see at initial diagnosis. Your white blood cell count is quite elevated, and there are some genetic markers that suggest a more aggressive form. With treatment, chemotherapy, possibly targeted therapy, we can manage it, potentially for several years. Without treatment, the prognosis is less favorable. How long? Michael asked bluntly. Without treatment, how long does she have? Dr. Chin hesitated. It's impossible to say exactly. Every patient is different. But generally speaking, with advanced CLL that's not treated, we're looking at perhaps a year, maybe 2. The room seemed to tilt. A year. Maybe 2. And with treatment? I heard myself ask. With aggressive treatment, many patients live 5 years or more. Some much longer. But I have to be honest, the treatment is demanding. Chemotherapy at your age, given your other health issues, will be difficult. You'll be sick, fatigued. Your quality of life will be significantly impacted. I looked at Michael, expecting to see grief, fear, determination to fight. Instead, I saw calculation. His eyes were distant, already processing this information like a business problem. "What do you think, Mom?" he asked. "Do you want to do the treatment?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "I need to think about it." That was 6 weeks ago. I'd been living in a fog since the diagnosis, trying to wrap my mind around the reality that my body was betraying me, that cells inside me were multiplying wrong, that my time was limited in a newly concrete way. Michael and Vanessa had been different since the diagnosis. Colder. More distant. They spoke around me rather than to me. They made plans, vacation plans, renovation plans, future plans, as if I wasn't in the room. And then came that October afternoon, that moment in the hallway when I heard my son tell his wife, "She'll be gone soon anyway." After I heard those words, I went back to my bedroom, closed the door, and sat on the edge of the bed, shaking. Not from weakness or illness, but from rage. Pure, white-hot rage. My son was waiting for me to die. He was planning his life around my death. And more than that, he was treating me like an inconvenience, a temporary obstacle to be endured until nature took its course. I thought about everything I'd sacrificed for my children. The years I'd worked 2 jobs when Robert's pay wasn't enough. The college tuition I'd helped pay. The down payment I'd given Michael for his first house. The countless hours of babysitting Tyler and Madison when they were young. The unwavering support through every triumph and failure. And this was how he repaid me. With cold calculations about when I'd finally be gone. I could have confronted him right then. Part of me wanted to storm downstairs and throw those words in his face. But something held me back. Maybe it was the shock. Maybe it was the hurt running too deep for immediate anger. Or maybe, somewhere in the practical part of my brain that had helped me survive 78 years, I knew that confrontation without a plan was useless. If Michael was truly the person those words revealed him to be, then simply calling him out wouldn't change anything. He'd apologize, make excuses, tell me I'd misunderstood. And I'd still be trapped in his house, dependent on his charity, waiting to die. No. If I was going to do something about this, I needed to be smart about it. That evening at dinner, I watched my son with new eyes. He was pleasant enough, asking if I'd had a good day, passing me the salad bowl. But I could see it now, the performance of it. The duty rather than love. The careful maintenance of appearances. Vanessa barely looked at me, focused on her phone, scrolling through something that was apparently more interesting than the elderly woman sitting across from her. Tyler and Madison ate quickly and asked to be excused, disappearing upstairs to their rooms without a backward glance. "Mom, Vanessa and I are planning a trip," Michael said casually as we finished eating. "Mediterranean cruise. 3 weeks in November." I kept my face neutral. "That sounds lovely. We thought you could stay here, of course. We'll arrange for someone to check on you daily. Maybe Mrs. Patterson from next door. Or we could look into a home health aide for a few hours each day. You're leaving me alone for 3 weeks. You'll be fine, Mom. You're more independent than you think. And it's not like we're going to the moon. We'll have our phones. You can call if there's an emergency." An emergency? Like what? Dying alone in your house while you're sailing the Mediterranean? "When do you leave?" I asked, keeping my voice mild. "November 12th. We'll be back December 2nd. 3 weeks. They were planning to leave me alone for 3 weeks, in a house that wasn't mine, in a town where I knew nobody except the neighbors who barely acknowledged my existence. Because I'd be gone soon anyway. "I hope you have a wonderful time," I said sweetly. Vanessa finally looked up from her phone, surprise flickering across her face. "You're okay with this?" "Of course. You both work so hard. You deserve a vacation." Michael's shoulders relaxed. He'd been expecting resistance. "Thanks for understanding, Mom. I knew you would." After dinner, I called Christine from my room. "Mom. how are you feeling? I need to talk to you about something important, I said, keeping my voice low. Can you come visit? Soon. Of course. Is everything okay? Is it the leukemia? It's complicated. I'd rather talk in person. Can you come this weekend? Let me check with Paul. I'm sure we can work something out. Mom, you're worrying me. What's going on? This weekend, sweetheart. I'll explain everything then. Next, I called Jonathan in Philadelphia. Aunt Dot, he answered cheerfully. He'd called me Aunt Dot since he was 3 years old and couldn't pronounce mom and separately. It had stuck. What's happening in Connecticut? Jonathan, I need your help with something. Legal help, actually. His tone shifted to concern. Legal help? What kind of legal help? I need to understand my options. About my living situation, my finances, my healthcare decisions. Can you come visit this weekend? Christine's coming too. There was a pause. This sounds serious. It is. But I'd rather explain everything when you're both here. Can you come? I'll be there Saturday morning. That weekend, I told my children everything. We sat in a coffee shop 2 towns over from Michael's house. I'd insisted on meeting somewhere outside his territory. Christine arrived with Lily, my beautiful 12-year-old granddaughter. Jonathan came straight from Philadelphia, still wearing his work clothes. I told them about the overheard conversation. I told them how Michael and Vanessa had been treating me. I told them about my suspicions that they were just waiting for me to die so they could reclaim their guest room and their lives. Christine cried. Mom, I can't believe Michael would say something like that. There must be some misunderstanding. I heard him, Christine. Clear as day. She'll be gone soon anyway. Jonathan's jaw was tight with anger. That son of a, he stopped himself, glancing at Lily. What do you want to do, Aunt Dot? I want to leave. I want to go back to my own house. But I don't know if I can manage alone, and I don't know if Michael will even let me. Let you? Jonathan's eyebrows shot up. You're not his prisoner. You're a grown woman. You can leave whenever you want. But practically speaking, I need help. I can't drive long distances anymore. I can't manage all the stairs in my old house. I have medical appointments, therapy sessions. And Michael has power of attorney over my healthcare decisions. Dr. Chen sends all my records to him. Christine's eyes widened. When did he get power of attorney? After the fall. He said it was just a precaution, in case something happened and I couldn't make decisions for myself. I signed the papers without really understanding what they meant. Jonathan pulled out a notebook. Okay, let's break this down. First, power of attorney doesn't mean he owns you or controls you while you're still competent. You can revoke it at any time. Second, you absolutely can leave his house whenever you want. Third, we need to figure out your living situation. Can you afford to hire help if you went back to your house? I think so. Your father's pension, Social Security, some savings. I never really looked into it because Michael said he and Vanessa would take care of everything. I bet he did, Jonathan muttered. Aunt Dot, I hate to say this, but I think we need to look at your finances carefully. Make sure everything is in order. Make sure Michael hasn't been. He stopped, but I knew what he was about to say. You think he might be stealing from me? I think we should check. Just to be safe. Christine looked horrified. Jonathan, that's our brother. He wouldn't. Really, Christine? The same brother who just told his wife that our mother will be gone soon anyway? The same brother who's planning a 3-week vacation and leaving her alone? I love Michael, but something's not right here. Over the next few hours, we made a plan. Jonathan would help me review my finances and legal documents. Christine would research home healthcare options and modifications I could make to my house to make it more accessible. And I would talk to Dr. Chen about changing my healthcare proxy from Michael to someone else. Christine volunteered. But I don't want Michael to know what we're doing, I said. Not yet. I need to be ready before I confront him. I need to have my ducks in a row. How long do you think you need? Jonathan asked. His cruise is November 12th. That gives me 3 weeks. I want to be gone before he leaves. I want to walk out of that house on my own terms, not be left behind like forgotten luggage. Christine squeezed my hand. We'll help you, Mom. Whatever you need. Little Lily, who'd been quiet through the whole conversation, finally spoke up. Grandma, can I help too? I smiled at her, this beautiful child who represented everything good about family. Of course, sweetheart. I'll need all the help I can get. The next 3 weeks were a masterclass in deception. I acted like nothing had changed. I was pleasant to Michael and Vanessa, grateful for their care, understanding about the cruise. I played the role of declining elderly mother perfectly, weak, compliant, no trouble at all. But behind the scenes, I was busy. Jonathan came to visit twice, ostensibly just checking on me. During those visits, we reviewed my financial situation in detail. My accounts were in my name only, thank God, and nothing seemed amiss. But we discovered something interesting. I was actually fairly well off. Robert's pension was generous, my social security was substantial, and we'd saved diligently. Plus, my house was worth considerably more than I'd realized. The Adirondacks had become a popular vacation destination, and property values had soared. And you could easily afford to hire full-time help if you wanted to, Jonathan told me. Or you could sell the house and move into a nice assisted living facility, the kind with actual care and activities, not a nursing home. You have options. We also reviewed the power of attorney documents I'd signed. As Jonathan suspected, I could revoke them at any time with a simple signed statement. I'm going to draft a revocation for you, he said. And new documents designating Christine as your healthcare proxy and me as your financial power of attorney, only to take effect if you're incapacitated. That way, your wishes are protected, but you maintain control while you're competent. Michael's going to be furious when he finds out. Let him be furious. He lost the right to manage your affairs when he started treating you like a burden instead of his mother. Christine researched home health agencies and found several reputable ones that could provide daily assistance, help with medication management, meal preparation, light housekeeping, and transportation to appointments. She also found a contractor who specialized in aging in-place modifications, stair lifts, walk-in showers, railings, wider doorways. Mom, we can make your house totally accessible, she said excitedly. You could live there safely for years. But the real question remained, did I want to go back to that house? The house I'd shared with Robert, full of memories but also full of reminders of loss. Or did I want something different, something new? I thought about it for days. And then one night, lying in the guest bed in Michael's house, listening to the sounds of a family that didn't really want me there, I realized what I wanted. I wanted to live near Christine. Christine and Paul ran a bed and breakfast in Vermont, a beautiful restored farmhouse with mountain views. They had an apartment above the garage that they sometimes rented to guests. It was small but perfect, 1 bedroom, a bathroom, a little kitchen and living area. All on 1 level. Could I rent that apartment from you? I asked Christine during our next phone call. Rent? Mom, don't be ridiculous. You could stay there for free. No. I want to pay rent. Fair market value. I want to be independent, Christine, not a charity case. But I want to be near a family who actually wants me around. Is that something you'd consider? I could hear the smile in her voice. Mom, we'd love to have you. Paul's been saying for years that we should convert that space into a mother-in-law suite. Let me talk to him and we'll figure out the details. 2 days later, Christine called back. They'd worked it all out. I could move into the apartment December 1st. They'd modify it to make it fully accessible, grab bars in the bathroom, a walk-in shower, better lighting. They'd include breakfast daily as part of the arrangement, and Christine would help me with grocery shopping and appointments. I'd pay them $1,000 a month for rent and utilities, which was far below market rate but made me feel independent. "Mom, Lily is over the moon," Christine said. "She can't wait to have you so close. She's already planning all the things you can do together." I felt tears streaming down my face. Happy tears, for the first time in months. Everything was falling into place. I had a plan, a destination, a purpose. Now I just needed to execute it. On November 8th, 4 days before Michael and Vanessa were scheduled to leave for their cruise, I made my move. I called Dr. Chen and explained everything: the overheard conversation, my decision to leave Michael's house, my desire to change my healthcare proxy. "I'm so sorry you're dealing with this family situation on top of the cancer diagnosis," she said sympathetically. "But I'm glad you're taking control. Let me know what paperwork you need me to complete." I called the home health agency Christine had found and arranged for a nurse to come to Christine's apartment 3 times a week to help manage my medications and monitor my condition. I contacted a moving company and scheduled them to pack up my belongings from Michael's house and transport them to Vermont on November 13th, the day after Michael and Vanessa left for their cruise. And I drafted a letter to my son. Not an angry letter, though God knows I had anger to spare. But a clear, factual letter explaining my decision and why I was making it. Everything was ready. Now I just had to wait for the right moment. Before I tell you about that moment, about the confrontation that finally brought everything into the open, I want to ask you something. If you're finding this story compelling, if it's making you think about your own family relationships, please take a moment to like this video and leave a comment. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me your story. And if you haven't already subscribed to Family Tales, do it now. These stories matter. Your engagement helps more people find them. So subscribe, like, comment, and then let's continue with what happened next. The night before Michael and Vanessa were scheduled to leave, I came down to dinner carrying my suitcase. The reaction was instant. Vanessa's fork clattered against her plate. Michael's face went white, then red. "Mom, what's going on? Why do you have a suitcase?" I set it down by the kitchen door and took my seat at the table calmly. "I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I wanted to tell you in person rather than just disappearing." "Leaving? What are you talking about? Where are you going?" "I'm moving to Vermont. Christine and Paul have an apartment for me above their garage. I'll be living there." Vanessa found her voice first. "But you can't live alone. You need care. That's why you're here." "I won't be alone. Christine's there, and I've arranged for home health services. I'll be fine." Michael pushed back from the table, his chair scraping loudly. "This is ridiculous. You're not thinking clearly. It's the illness, it's affecting your judgment." "My judgment is perfectly clear, Michael." "Then you'd see that this is a terrible idea." "Vermont? In the winter? In your condition? What if you fall again? What if you have a medical emergency? Then Christine will call 911, just like you would. Or rather, just like you would if you were here and not on a cruise ship somewhere in the Mediterranean." The room went silent. Michael's face cycled through several expressions: shock, calculation, anger. "So that's what this is about," he said finally. "You're upset about the cruise." "Mom," I explained. "This isn't about the cruise, Michael. This is about the fact that I overheard you telling Vanessa that I'd be gone soon anyway." Vanessa gasped. Michael went very still. "You were planning your vacation around my death. You were irritated that I was inconveniencing you by continuing to live. Do you have any idea how that felt? Hearing my own son talk about me like I was a problem to be endured until nature took its course?" "Mom, I didn't, that's not, you took it out of context." "What context makes those words acceptable, Michael? Please, enlighten me." He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I'd seen him make since childhood when he was cornered. "We were frustrated. We've been dealing with a lot. Vanessa's mother is also sick, I'm under pressure at work, the kids are struggling in school. Having you here, as much as we love you, has been an added stress. I said something insensitive in a moment of weakness. I'm sorry. You're sorry you said it, or sorry that I heard it? Both. I'm sorry for all of it. But Mom, running away to Vermont isn't the answer. Stay here. We'll work through this. We'll do better. I shook my head. I'm not running away, Michael. I'm choosing to live somewhere I'm wanted, not just tolerated. I'm choosing to spend whatever time I have left with people who value my presence, not resent it. Vanessa spoke up, her voice defensive. We don't resent you, Dot. This is just a difficult situation for everyone. I'm sure it is. Which is why I'm making it easier for you. You'll have your house back. You'll have your life back. You won't have to worry about checking on me or arranging care. You can take all the cruises you want. Tyler chose that moment to wander into the kitchen, looking for a snack. He sensed the tension immediately and froze. What's going on? Your grandmother is leaving, Michael said flatly. Apparently, we're such terrible people that she'd rather move to Vermont. I stood up, my cane in hand, and looked at my grandson. Tyler, I want you to know that none of this is your fault. I love you and Madison very much. I hope you'll come visit me in Vermont. He looked confused and uncomfortable. Okay, Grandma. Sure. I turned back to Michael. I'll be out of your house by 10 tomorrow morning. Christine is picking me up. I've left some papers on the dresser in my room: revocation of the power of attorney, new healthcare proxy designation, contact information for my doctors. Everything you need to know. You're revoking my power of attorney? Michael's voice rose. After everything I've done for you? Yes. Christine will be my healthcare proxy going forward. Jonathan will have financial power of attorney, only if I become incapacitated. But I'm perfectly capable of making my own decisions right now, despite what you might think. This is unbelievable. You're being manipulated. Christine got in your head, turned you against me. She's always been jealous that I'm the successful one. Stop. My voice came out sharper than I'd intended. Don't you dare blame your sister for your own failings. Christine didn't put words in your mouth. She didn't make you treat me like a burden. She didn't make you plan vacations around my expiration date. You did that all by yourself. Vanessa stood up. I think we all need to calm down. This conversation isn't productive. Why don't you sleep on this? Make a final decision in the morning when everyone's had time to cool off. I've made my decision. I'm leaving tomorrow. Michael's face hardened. Fine. Leave. But don't come crying to us when you can't manage on your own. Don't call us when you're lonely or sick or realize what a mistake you've made. I won't, I said quietly. I'll call people who actually care whether I live or die. I picked up my suitcase and went to my room, closing the door on my son's angry protests. I sat on the edge of the bed, my whole body shaking, not from weakness, but from the adrenaline of finally standing up for myself. There was a soft knock on my door a few minutes later. Grandma? Madison's voice, tentative and young. Come in, sweetheart. She slipped in, closing the door behind her. At 16, she was caught in that awkward space between child and adult, all long limbs and uncertain confidence. Is it true you're leaving? Yes. Tomorrow morning. Because of what Dad said? I patted the bed beside me, and she sat down. Partly. But also because I need to live somewhere that feels like home. Somewhere I'm wanted, not just tolerated. I want you here, she said quietly. I know I haven't been very good at showing it. I'm always on my phone or with my friends. But I like having you here, Grandma. You make the house feel less. I don't know. Less perfect and cold. My heart squeezed. Thank you for telling me that, Madison. It means more than you know. Are you really sick? Like, dying sick? I have cancer. Leukemia. And yes, if I don't treat it, I probably don't have very long. Maybe a year or two. Are you going to treat it? It was the question I'd been avoiding for weeks. I don't know yet. The treatment is harsh. It would make me very sick. And it might only give me a few more years. I'm trying to decide if those years are worth the suffering, or if I'd rather have fewer years but better quality of life. What does that mean? Quality of life? It means spending my time doing things that matter to me. Being with people I love who love me back. Enjoying simple pleasures, good food, beautiful views, meaningful conversations. Not spending my days being sick from chemotherapy, in and out of hospitals. Madison was quiet for a long moment. I think I understand. It's like, would you rather live to be 100 but be miserable, or live to 80 but actually enjoy it? Exactly like that. Dad's going to be really mad if you don't do the treatment. Probably. But it's my body and my life. It has to be my decision. She hugged me then, fierce and sudden. I'm going to miss you, Grandma. Vermont isn't that far away. You can come visit anytime. I'd love to have you. After Madison left, I lay in bed thinking about her question. Was I going to treat the cancer? Dr. Chen had been waiting for my decision for weeks. I'd put her off, unable to commit to the grueling process of chemotherapy. But now, with a new life waiting for me in Vermont, with Christine and Lily and Paul who actually wanted me around, did that change the equation? Did I want to fight for more time? I realized I did. Not because I was afraid of dying. At 78, death wasn't the terrifying unknown it had once been. But because I wasn't ready yet. I had more life to live. More moments with Lily. More sunrises to watch from Christine's porch. More chapters in my story. I would do the treatment. I would fight. Not for Michael, not to prove anything to anyone. But for myself, because I deserved every moment I could get. The next morning, Christine arrived at 9:30. She helped me carry my few belongings to her car while Michael and Vanessa watched from the doorway, their expressions a mixture of anger and disbelief. Mom, I really wish you'd reconsider, Michael said one last time. This is a mistake. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. Vanessa stepped forward, and for a moment I thought she might say something conciliatory. Instead, she said, we'll need you to reimburse us for the modifications we made to the bathroom. The grab bars and shower seat. Those were installed specifically for you. Christine's jaw dropped. Are you serious right now? We invested money in making this space accessible for Dot. If she's not going to use it, we should be reimbursed. I opened my purse and pulled out my checkbook. With shaking hands, I wrote a check for $500, far more than grab bars and a shower seat cost. I handed it to Vanessa. There. Now we're square. You have your house back, your life back, and your money back. I hope it makes you happy. Christine put her arm around me. Let's go, Mom. As we drove away, I watched Michael's house disappear in the rearview mirror. I felt lighter than I had in months. Grief, yes. Sadness, absolutely. But also relief. The pretense was over. The truth was out. And I was free. The drive to Vermont took 4 hours. Christine played soft music and let me process in silence for the first hour. Then, gradually, we started talking. About Paul and Lily, about the bed and breakfast, about the modifications they were making to the apartment. Paul's installing a stair lift on the garage stairs, just in case you need it. And we're putting in a walk-in shower with a built-in seat. The whole apartment is being repainted. I thought you might like a soft yellow. It gets a great morning light. Christine, you don't have to go to so much trouble. Mom, it's not trouble. It's family. Real family. The kind that takes care of each other because they want to, not because they have to. We stopped for lunch at a little diner, and I told her about my decision to pursue treatment for leukemia. I'm so glad, she said, squeezing my hand. I know it'll be hard, but you're strong. And you won't be going through it alone. I'll be with you for every appointment, every treatment. We'll get through it together. What about the bed and breakfast? You can't just drop everything to take care of me. Mom, Paul, and I have been talking. We're going to hire someone to help with the day-to-day operations. We've been meaning to do it anyway. We're getting burned out trying to do everything ourselves. This just accelerates the timeline. And honestly, having you there will be good for the business. Guests love the idea of a family-run B&B. Having 3 generations on the property adds to the charm. We arrived at Christine's place in the late afternoon. The bed and breakfast was even more beautiful than I remembered from my last visit years ago, a restored 1890s farmhouse with wraparound porches, surrounded by mountains ablaze with fall color. Paul came out to greet us, pulling me into a warm hug. Welcome home, Dot. Home. The words settled into my chest, warm and right. Lily came running from the house, her long hair flying. Grandma. You're here. She crashed into me with such enthusiasm that I nearly lost my balance, but Paul steadied me. Lily grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the garage. Come see your apartment. Mom and Dad have been working on it all week. It's so pretty. The apartment was up a flight of stairs on the outside of the garage, but true to Christine's word, there was a new stairlift installed. Lily insisted on riding up with me, both of us laughing as the chair slowly climbed. The apartment was perfect. Freshly painted in a soft butter yellow that caught the afternoon light beautifully. New flooring, new fixtures in the bathroom, a small kitchen with easy-to-reach cabinets. The furniture was simple but comfortable, a sofa, an armchair, a dining table for 2. The bedroom had a beautiful quilt on the bed that I recognized as one Christine had made herself. Do you like it? Lily asked anxiously. Mom said you might want to bring some of your own things to make it feel more like yours. It's absolutely perfect, sweetheart. And it was. For the first time in 8 months, I felt like I could breathe. That evening, we had dinner together, me, Christine, Paul, and Lily. Just the 5 of us around their farmhouse table, eating Paul's homemade lasagna and talking about everything and nothing. Lily chattered about school and her friends. Christine told stories about their guests. Paul discussed his plans for the winter garden. Nobody treated me like I was fragile. Nobody spoke around me or over me. Nobody acted like my presence was an inconvenience. I was just grandma. Just mom. Just part of the family. After dinner, Lily asked if I wanted to watch a movie with her. We settled on the couch in my new apartment, an old musical playing on the TV, and she curled up against me the way she used to when she was little. Grandma? Yes, sweetheart. I'm really glad you're here. I missed you. I missed you too, Lily. So much. She fell asleep halfway through the movie, her head on my shoulder. Christine came to collect her, smiling at the scene. She's been counting down the days until you arrived, Christine whispered. After they left, I sat in my new living room, looking out the window at the mountains silhouetted against the darkening sky. My phone buzzed, a text from Jonathan. Made it to Vermont okay? Yes. It's perfect here. Good. You deserve perfect. Love you, Aunt Dot. Love you too. No message from Michael. I didn't expect one. Maybe that would change someday, maybe it wouldn't. But for the first time, I realized I was okay either way. His approval, his love, his presence, I'd spent so many years believing I needed them to be complete. But I didn't. I had people who loved me unconditionally. I had a home. I had a purpose. I had myself. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of adjustment. I met with a new oncologist, Dr. Marcus Webb, who reviewed my case and agreed that treatment was a viable option despite my age. We started a modified chemotherapy protocol the week after Thanksgiving, aggressive enough to fight the cancer, but adjusted for my other health conditions. The treatment was as awful as Dr. Chen had warned. Nausea, fatigue, weakness. There were days I could barely get out of bed. Days when eating was impossible. Days when I wondered if I'd made the wrong choice, if I should have just let nature take its course. But Christine was there. Every single day. Bringing me ginger tea and crackers when I was nauseated. Sitting with me during the long chemo sessions. Rubbing my feet when the neuropathy made them ache. Just being present. Paul helped too, cooking bland foods that were easier on my stomach, making sure I stayed hydrated, carrying my medications up to the apartment each morning. And Lily, sweet Lily, became my companion. She'd come to the apartment after school and do her homework at my dining table while I rested on the couch. She'd read to me when I was too tired to read myself. She'd tell me about her day, about the drama with her friends, about the boy she kind of liked but wasn't sure. Having her there made me feel useful. She needed me, not to take care of her physically, but to be a listening ear, a source of wisdom, someone outside the parent-child dynamic who could offer perspective. "Grandma, do you think I'm too young to date?" she asked one afternoon in December. "How old are you again?" 12. Almost 13. "I think you're too young to date seriously. But having crushes and going to school dances? That's normal. That's part of growing up. What does your mom say?" "She says I can go to group things but no one-on-one dates until I'm 15. That sounds very reasonable. I guess. But all my friends are going on dates." "All of them?" "Well, Sophia is. But her parents are really permissive." I smiled. You know what I learned in my 78 years? The kids who are allowed to do everything early usually end up wishing they'd slowed down. There's no rush to grow up, Lily. Being 12 is special. Enjoy it. She thought about that. "Were you boy crazy when you were 12? "Oh, absolutely. I had a crush on Bobby Henderson from 6th grade all the way through high school. Never did anything about it, just admired him from afar. Then I met your grandfather when I was 19, and Bobby Henderson seemed very silly in retrospect." "Do you miss Grandpa Robert?" "Every single day. But I'm grateful for the 47 years we had together." Some people never get that. These conversations, these ordinary moments, they were what I was fighting for. Not some abstract concept of more time, but actual lived moments with people I loved. By January, the chemotherapy was showing results. My white blood cell count was dropping, which sounds bad but was actually good, because it meant the cancer cells were dying. Dr. Webb was cautiously optimistic. "You're responding well to treatment. If this continues, we might be able to put you into remission." How long would remission last? Impossible to say. Could be months, could be years. CLL can come back, but we'd deal with that if and when it happens. For now, let's focus on getting you as healthy as possible. Michael called in February. It was the first time I'd heard from him since I'd left his house 3 months earlier. "Mom? It's Michael." "Hello, Michael." There was a long pause. "How are you?" "I'm okay. Going through chemotherapy. It's rough, but I'm managing. Christine told me. She called last week to give me an update." So Christine had reached out to him. That was like her, always trying to mend fences, to keep the family connected even when it was broken. "Michael, why are you calling?" "I wanted to. I don't know. Check on you, I guess. And maybe to say I'm sorry. For what I said. For how I treated you." "Are you sorry you said it, or sorry I heard it?" "Both. But mostly sorry I felt it. I've been thinking a lot about everything. Vanessa and I started couples counseling. Turns out leaving you behind and going on that cruise didn't magically fix our marriage. Our therapist has been asking tough questions about how we treat family, how we prioritize things. And I realized I've been an ass. Not just to you, but to a lot of people. I appreciate the apology. Is there any chance, could I come visit? I'd like to see you. See where you're living. Make sure you're really okay." I thought about it. Part of me wanted to say no, to let him suffer with the consequences of his words and actions. But I'm not a vindictive person, never have been. And he was still my son, despite everything. You can come visit. But Michael, I need you to understand something. I've built a life here. I'm happy here. I'm not coming back to Connecticut. This is my home now. I understand. I'm not asking you to come back. I just want to see you. He came the following weekend, driving up from Connecticut. He looked older than I remembered, more lines around his eyes, a weariness in his face. Christine and Paul made themselves scarce, giving us privacy. Michael and I sat in my little apartment, tea cooling on the coffee table between us, and we talked. Really talked, for the first time in years. Maybe for the first time ever. He told me about the pressure he'd been under, financial pressure from trying to maintain a lifestyle beyond their means, pressure at work to meet increasingly impossible sales targets, pressure in his marriage as he and Vanessa grew apart. None of it excused what he'd said, but it helped me understand. I started seeing you as just another problem to solve, he admitted. Another obligation on my already overwhelming plate. I lost sight of the fact that you're my mother. That you deserve respect and love, not just duty. Why didn't you talk to me about any of this? Why didn't you tell me you were struggling? Pride, I guess. I'm supposed to be the successful one. The one who has it all together. Admitting I was drowning felt like failure. Michael, everyone drowns sometimes. That's what family is for, to throw you a life preserver. He nodded, eyes glistening. I know that now. We talked about his childhood, about moments I'd forgotten but he remembered. Times I'd stood up for him, believed in him, supported him. At times he'd disappointed me but I'd forgiven him. The foundation of love that had somehow gotten buried under years of stress and expectations and unspoken resentments. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, he said. I know I have to earn that. But I want to try. I want to be a better son. If you'll let me. I'll let you try. He came back the next month, and the month after that. Short visits, careful at first, but gradually more comfortable. He met Dr. Webb, attended one of my chemo sessions, saw firsthand what I was dealing with. He seemed genuinely impressed by how I'd built this new life for myself. You're tougher than I gave you credit for, he said one afternoon as we sat on Christine's porch, watching Lily play with the chickens in the yard. I've always been tough. You just never noticed. I noticed. I just chose to ignore it when it was convenient. By spring, I was feeling stronger. The chemotherapy protocol was nearly complete, and the results were remarkable. Dr. Webb declared me to be in remission. The cancer could come back, he cautioned. We'll need to monitor you closely. But for now, you're cancer-free. Cancer-free. At 78 years old, after being given a year or two to live, I was cancer-free. I celebrated with Christine, Paul, and Lily by planting a garden. A big, sprawling garden full of vegetables and flowers, the kind Robert and I had always dreamed of. My hands in the dirt, the sun on my face, Lily beside me learning the names of plants, it felt like resurrection. Michael visited again in May, bringing Vanessa and the kids. It was awkward at first, everyone dancing around the elephant in the room. But Lily, bless her, broke the tension by challenging Tyler and Madison to a chicken-catching contest. Soon all three teenagers were running around the yard, laughing and shouting, while the adults watched from the porch. Your place is beautiful, Christine, Vanessa said. And you look wonderful. Really. Healthy and happy. I am happy. Happier than I've been in a long time. I owe you an apology too, Vanessa said quietly. I was resentful about having you in our home. I felt like our privacy was invaded, like our routine was disrupted. I said things I shouldn't have said, felt things I'm ashamed of. I'm sorry. Apology accepted. Madison came over to where I was sitting, sweaty and grass-stained from chasing chickens. Grandma, can I stay here for a week this summer? Like, without Mom and Dad? I'd love that. We could do a girls' week with Lily. Her face lit up. Really? That would be so cool. Tyler wandered over too. Could I come sometime? Not during girls' week, obviously. But to help with stuff? I'm thinking about studying agriculture in college, and Paul said he could teach me about sustainable farming. I looked at these teenagers, my grandchildren who'd barely acknowledged my existence 8 months ago, now eager to spend time with me. Something had shifted. Maybe my leaving had made them realize I wasn't just a fixture in their lives, but a person with value beyond convenience. That summer was one of the best of my life. Madison did come for a week, and she and Lily became closer than they'd ever been, despite the age gap. Tyler came for 2 weeks and worked with Paul on the farm, learning about composting and crop rotation and organic pest control. Jonathan visited regularly, usually staying in one of the B&B rooms and helping Christine and Paul with projects around the property. Rebecca came once, briefly, still somewhat uncomfortable with the family drama but making an effort. And Michael came monthly, sometimes with Vanessa and the kids, sometimes alone. Slowly, carefully, we rebuilt our relationship. It would never be what it had been, we both knew too much now, had said too many hurtful things. But it was something. A new kind of relationship, built on honesty rather than obligation. One evening in August, Michael and I sat on my little porch, watching the sunset paint the mountains in shades of gold and purple. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you regret moving here? If you'd stayed with us, if we'd worked things out, do you think it would have been better?" I thought carefully about my answer. I don't regret moving here for a second. This is where I was meant to be. But I do regret how it happened. I wish you'd never said those words. I wish I'd never had to overhear them. I wish our relationship hadn't required breaking before it could heal. I wish that too. But Michael, here's what I've learned through all of this. Sometimes things have to break completely before they can be rebuilt properly. The relationship we had before was built on assumptions and expectations and unspoken agreements. It looked fine on the surface, but it wasn't solid. What we're building now, it's harder, and it's messy, but it's real. It's honest. I like honest, he said quietly. Even when it's uncomfortable. Me too. The cancer came back in September, 14 months after my first diagnosis. Dr. Webb caught it early in a routine blood test. My white cell count was creeping up again. We discussed options, more chemotherapy, newer targeted therapies, or palliative care only. "What do you want to do, Dot?" he asked. I thought about the past year. The garden I'd planted. The relationship I'd rebuilt with Michael. The time with Lily and Madison and Tyler. The quiet mornings with Christine. The life I'd lived, fully and intentionally. "I want quality over quantity this time," I said. "I don't want more aggressive treatment. I want to enjoy whatever time I have left." Dr. Webb nodded. "I think that's a reasonable choice. We can manage symptoms, keep you comfortable. You might have 6 months, you might have 2 years. There's no way to know." I told my family about the decision. Christine cried but understood. Jonathan supported me completely. Michael struggled with it. "Mom, there are new treatments. Clinical trials. Things that might work." "Michael, I'm 79 years old. I've lived a long life. Not a perfect life, but a good one. I've done everything I wanted to do. I'm ready to let nature take its course. But I'm not ready to lose you." "I know, sweetheart. But this isn't about you. It's about me, and what I want for my final chapter. And what I want is peace. Time with family. No more fighting." He accepted it, eventually. We all did. I'm recording this story on a crisp October morning, exactly 2 years after I overheard Michael say those words that changed everything. The cancer is progressing. I'm weaker now, more tired. But I'm not suffering. Dr. Webb's palliative care team keeps me comfortable. Christine brings me breakfast every morning and sits with me while I eat. Paul checks on me throughout the day. Lily comes after school and does her homework at my table, just like she's been doing for 2 years. Michael called this morning to tell me he's coming for the weekend. Vanessa and the kids are coming too. They visit every month now, without fail. We've created new traditions, new memories. Better ones. I don't know how much longer I have. Dr. Webb thinks maybe 3 months, maybe 6. I've stopped counting. I'm just living each day as fully as I can. And I want to tell you something important, something I need you to really hear. Your life belongs to you. Not to your children, not to your spouse, not to anyone else. You get to decide how to live it and how to end it. You get to choose your priorities, your battles, your peace. When I heard Michael say, "She'll be gone soon anyway," I had a choice. I could have pretended I hadn't heard it. I could have stayed in that house, accepting my role as burden, waiting passively for death. Many people would have. Society tells us, especially as elderly women, to be accommodating, to not make waves, to accept whatever scraps of love and respect were offered. But I chose differently. I chose to leave. I chose to fight for treatment when I wanted to fight. I chose to stop treatment when I was ready to stop. I chose to spend my final years surrounded by people who genuinely wanted me around, not people who were counting down the days until I was gone. And these past 2 years have been a gift beyond measure. I've watched Lily grow from a child into a young woman. I've seen Madison blossom from a phone-obsessed teenager into someone thoughtful and present. I've witnessed Tyler discover his passion for sustainable agriculture. I've rebuilt a relationship with my son that's stronger for having been broken and repaired. I've lived in a place of breathtaking beauty, tending a garden that's brought me joy every single day. I've been part of Christine and Paul's business, greeting guests, sharing stories, feeling useful and valued. I've had time to make peace with my life, with my choices, with my regrets. I've had time to say the things that needed to be said, to hear the apologies that needed to be heard, to forgive and be forgiven. That's what I gained by refusing to be invisible. By refusing to be a passive victim of other people's callousness. By standing up and saying, "No, I matter. My life matters. And I deserve better." If you're watching this and you're in a situation where someone is treating you like you don't matter, whether it's adult children, a spouse, caregivers, anyone, please hear me. You have more power than you think. You have more options than you realize. You don't have to accept being diminished or dismissed or counted down. Stand up. Speak out. Make choices that honor your worth. It won't always be easy. There will be conflict, hurt feelings, difficult conversations. People might be angry with you. They might accuse you of being selfish or unreasonable. But your dignity is worth fighting for. Your happiness is worth pursuing. Your remaining years, whether it's 1 or 20, deserve to be lived on your terms. I'm 79 years old. I have terminal cancer. And I'm happier now than I was when I was healthy and living in my son's house, being tolerated rather than treasured. That should tell you everything you need to know about the power of choosing yourself. Before I finish, I want to say something to the Michael in your life, whether it's a son, daughter, spouse, or anyone else who's made you feel like a burden. They might change. Michael did. With time, with therapy, with confronting his own failings, he became a better son. Not perfect, none of us are perfect, but better. Present. Honest. Loving in a way he hadn't been before. But they might not change. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be willing to build a life that doesn't depend on them seeing your worth, because your worth exists whether they recognize it or not. Find your Christine. Find your Jonathan. Find the people who love you unconditionally, who want you in their lives not out of duty but out of genuine affection. Those people exist. Sometimes they're family, sometimes they're friends who become family. But they're out there, and they're waiting for you. And if you're lucky enough to have those people already, cherish them. Tell them what they mean to you. Build a life that celebrates connection rather than obligation. I don't know how much longer I have to tell stories. The fatigue is getting worse, and there are more bad days than good days now. But I wanted to tell this one while I still could, because I think it matters. I think someone out there needs to hear it. You are not a burden. You are not an inconvenience. You are not just waiting around to be gone soon anyway. You are a human being with inherent worth and dignity. You deserve respect, love, and a life that brings you joy. And it's never too late to claim that life, even if you're 78 years old with cancer and a cane. So please, if this story meant something to you, subscribe to Family Tales. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment telling me your story. I may not be able to respond to all of them, but I promise I read every single one, and your words matter. We're all in this together, all of us navigating the complicated terrain of family, aging, illness, and dignity. The more we share our stories, the less alone we all feel. The more we speak our truth, the more permission we give others to speak theirs. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for listening to an old woman's story about finding her voice, her strength, and her peace. I'm Dorothy Sullivan, I'm 79 years old, and I'm living proof that it's never too late to choose yourself, to demand better, and to build a life worth living. Now if you'll excuse me, Lily will be here soon. We're making apple pie this afternoon, her first time attempting a lattice crust. And later, Christine and I are going to sit on the porch and watch the sunset, the way we do every evening. These simple moments, these ordinary joys, this is what I fought for. This is what I chose. And I'd do it all again in a heartbeat. Take care of yourselves, friends. Stand up for yourselves. Choose joy over obligation, dignity over compliance, and love over duty. You deserve nothing less. This is Sullivan, signing off from my little apartment in Vermont, reminding you that family isn't just who you're born to, it's who shows up for you, who values you, who makes room for you in their lives and their hearts. And you, my dear viewer, are part of my family now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. Thank you for believing that the stories of elderly women matter. Because they do. We do. Never forget that.